All right, so let's get straight into this. You didn't PR Monday, but you ran a race. And you allowed me to run it with you. It was such an honor. And I'm telling you, this man was the only one who's squatting 500 and running a sub 50-minute 10K. The only one, you know.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I did have a moment. Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
And you're injured today because of it.
I mean, I could just be being a baby.
No.
If my wife was here, she'd say my ability to articulate and deal with pain productively is less than hers. Which I get, man. Dude, I've seen her go through labor 3 times. And yeah, I don't. I fully affirm that.
Yeah.
I don't handle pain
Yeah,
well.
she went through labor 3 times and birthed 4 children.
Yeah,
That's math.
It's
also, she wasn't in the hospital for the twins.
Yeah, I mean,
you had them in the car. She had them in the car.
There's no physical feat that I could do.
Whoa.
That comes close to that. You know what I mean?
You called me. No, I don't.
I called you the night before.
You called me the night before.
I was like, hey man, I need a buddy to run with, because I don't know if I can be with all of our stupid fast friends. And I don't want to just run alone. I kind of want to I know that if I called you, you talked to me the entire time, and that you did not disappoint for sure. Mile 1, I was like, hey man, just tell me some stories. You keep doing it. I'll give you 1-word affirmations as we go through this 49-minute deal.
Oh, it was a blast.
It was a blast.
Yeah, I've never ran Boulder, and I didn't realize what I was walking into or running into or stepping into.
Yeah, it's nutty.
It took me way longer. I didn't know I was going to have to run a mile or plus to get to the start line and then run 2 miles after the race as well. So you need to calculate, you get a warm up and you get a cool down.
Oh yeah, it's a 15K experience for a 10K. For 10K credit,
10K credit, 15K experience, maximized.
Yeah,
morning.
It's super fun, man. It's cool to be around people who you feel all the different stories. Man, what was it? I was trying to tell somebody, and there was somebody who ran by us, and I heard over part of their conversation, but she was 30-something weeks pregnant.
Yeah, she was pregnant. I actually congratulated her.
Yeah, and you talked to her.
I talked to her on the way as she was passing us.
Dude, yeah, no. I would say we were booking it. That was our 7:30 mile. That's for me. I'm a polar bear. I'm not really fast. And she's casual 7 base while carrying another human. She's got a vest on. She's got a 20-pound vest on. So yeah, nutty.
It was fun.
It was super fun.
It was a lot of fun. I think those experiences you and I keep stacking, they're just honestly just priceless and hilarious.
Yeah.
Day of, night of, day before, all in. Where are we at? What are we doing? Where are we headed?
Yeah, you gotta have friends like that. It's hey man, I overcommitted and I need some help. Hey man, I didn't think this through.
Here's where we are. Oh my gosh. So that happened Monday. It's we're recording this on Friday, so we've had a crazy. It's been a crazy week, crazy season. A lot of things happening. I think what's important is for us to be able to have a conversation that's helpful. You and I know that we want to have those types of conversations that are helpful. What are the aspects of a conversation that's helpful in your opinion? Because precursor, we want people to be able to have better conversations.
Yeah.
I want to always have them. I want to encourage others to have them. That's kind of the concept behind the Full Vantage podcast. Hey, let's have conversations with people that we agree with and that we disagree with.
Yeah.
But let's be able to have a conversation and learn and grow and get better. So what are some really good aspects of a helpful conversation from your point of view?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Information, especially with the advent of LLMs and AI and agentic technology, like it's not about it's not a lack of information. Like I think, I was talking to Dax, my oldest, the other day, and he's starting to understand like what the internet is and what like our ability to go and access answers to things. And so I don't think it's not what makes people unique and where the opportunity lies in having influence over others is not the presentation of information. It's how you present it and how you package it for people, and then how you walk with them after that information is disseminated. Like once I've told you something, it's not enough for me to just tell you. It's more kind for me to present it in a way that I know is uniquely valuable to you, that is memorable for you, and then say, and actually I think man, it'd be really cool if this week you tried this. Or as an example, I mean, rather than just say like, well, I read a study. I do this all the time. I'd be like, dude, I read research studies all the time, and I love saying, well, I know that a person who walks, this is one I read this week, a person who walks only 5,000 steps a day decreases all-cause mortality by roughly 15%. That's nuts. Like 5,000 steps a day. That's roughly 20 to 30 minutes of walking. That's crazy. Like you should be telling everybody is like, if you're wanting to start a fitness journey, do the most accessible variation of that right now, and it's walking. Everybody can walk. It's easy. Everybody's got time for it. Everybody generally has the mechanics and the tools and resources for it. But I could tell you that and be like, hope you're blessed. See you later. Or I could say, let's go on a walk. Like, I want to go on more walks. Can you help hold me accountable? And I'm going to help you hold you accountable to doing more walks.
I have something unique to say to that. There was this older gentleman who's become a friend of mine, and we known each other from out of town, so we've talked on the phone a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm walking. And it was a walking meetings. I have walking meetings now.
Love
I'm on
that.
the phone, FaceTiming you, walking meetings. Sometimes they're actually most of the time they're honestly running meetings.
Yeah.
But a lot of at this moment it was a walking meeting. When he comes into town, he's like, hey, let's meet, let's talk. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's meet here and let's go on a walk. And he was like, oh. And while we were on the walk, he was like, I need to do this more.
Yeah.
I need to walk with someone and let's meet about something.
Dude.
And
it's so simple.
He's began to apply it to his life, and it's really changed the game, because how long are meetings usually? They're usually about 30 minutes minimum, 30 to 45 or some, tick up past beyond that. But if you just do that, then you've already done the thing that you needed to do today physically.
Right.
But you're pairing it. I love the concept of even pairing things that we have to do with things that we need to do.
Yeah.
do multiple things at one time.
Love that.
That are helpful.
Love that. You meet with a lot of young people.
Sure.
I meet a lot of young people. And a recent fixation in young people is like, I got to find a mentor. I'm going to find a mentor. And I think what they're looking for is some like a guru of sorts, which is a problematic territory to live in. That's another conversation. But they're looking for somebody to help them hold accountability, which is also a conversation we should talk about, because I think that word's been polluted a whole lot. And I heard this really great quote is, mentorship is adding something to your calendar. Discipleship is bringing somebody into your calendar. And that's what I hear you saying. It's like, well, if I know I have to do this, I need to do this, and I want to do this body of things, and there's existing people in my life that want more time with me, there's two options. One, I could eliminate something and then make a slot for them in the finite amount of time that I have. Or I can say, man, I got to go to Home Depot. Do you want to come to Home Depot with me? Or I got to go on a walk. I committed to myself that I would get 10,000 steps in, and I haven't walked today. Can we go on a walk? Rather than sit on Zoom or sit on a phone call. I love that. I think that's probably a better opportunity. And I remember the people in my life who have done that the most, they just let me be a part of what feels like mundane, less beautiful parts of their life. Like, hey, I got to like fix this light, or my water heater's broken. I want to come over and we'll chat while we're fixing it or whatever, or I've got to move some stuff or whatever. I feel like that's way more opportune to bring people in and have better conversations. It's like, yeah, I got to do this thing. I'm showing you how I prioritize my life and prioritize certain things, and I want you to be a part of that. That feels like a way better use of time. Tell me about how would you...
Real quick. I'll tell you about something.
Okay.
I don't want to move past this concept because I think it's one of the best ways for those that are trying to find a mentor to apply to their life. Yeah. Don't ask for one. Ask where you can help them.
Dude.
How can I be with you where you are?
I want to add
You're
something to
way
your life. Yeah.
more likely to get into someone else's life if you try to serve them in something that they're already going to do.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
And so if you want to gain knowledge, understanding, learn, join them where they are with where they're headed, and you are, I bet, I want to say like something definitive, like 100% more likely, but I bet it's like 75% more likely to get them to agree to that.
1,000%.
Because if you can join them on the journey, you'll actually get in their life.
Yeah.
But if you take time away from them, which is one of the most valuable resources, they're less likely to give it to you, and they're less likely to be consistent with you from there.
Sure. Yeah.
So don't expect that to happen because they don't know who you are and what you're about yet.
Yeah. Tips for getting a mentor.
Boom.
Don't be something they have to add to their calendar. Yeah, that's a great thing. Know what they love and what they're passionate about and what their priorities are right now, and then help them achieve those priorities.
Yep, help them solve problems, and help if you can help people solve problems, and you can and if you can help people get where they want to go. So see their dreams become reality. I found that those two things are the best ways to actually get into someone's life.
Yeah.
To be a part of it, not to just to get something from them.
Yeah, dude.
But if you can be a part of their life, you'll get the most. You'll actually get the most valuable thing, which is relationship, understanding, knowledge. You'll actually learn more about yourself. It's less. It's more symbiotic.
Sure.
In nature, going together, figuring it out together.
Yeah.
Which is back to the concept of even just friendship, and then you're building community, which changes the game for everyone.
Right.
Super practical. Okay, what were you about to say? I just didn't want to move past that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that just feels way more meaningful and less surface level, less Band-Aid-esque.
Sure.
Cliche, too.
I think like it's a pro tip for what we were talking about earlier is, people go through seasons of life where they're like, hey, I don't have good friends and I don't have good mentors. I need some level of community, either feeling the joy of being able to pour and the opportunity to pour into somebody who is in a season of life prior to yours. The joy of walking alongside people who are in the same season. Those are friends. And then being able to be taught by somebody who's ahead of you. Like that, those three things are paramount in having a fruitful life and feeling again, this idea of usefulness is probably reigning over all of my year. And I felt like I've just obsessed about that term and just being useful. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, well, how do you get a mentor? It's like, well, be useful to them first. Don't go into a relationship and say, hey, real quick, I know we've never really met, but could you do something for me? I don't know if it's the best opening line. You know what I mean? Like it's like, no, I feel kind of called, or I feel like a magnetic force that draws me to you as a person. And even saying that is really difficult, especially with men, is being able to say, dude, I really like hanging out with you. I feel like a better version of myself when I'm around you. And if there's anything you ever need, I'd love to help. And tell me what you got going on this week. I'll help you out do those things. And, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I don't want to add something to your calendar. I want to be a part of your calendar. and let me know if there's an opportunity to do that. And take notice. Oh, I see that you're opening up this business, or I see that you're working on this thing, or I see that you're getting into running. If you ever want to run, I'll go on one of your runs and we'll do your thing. Like, dude, way better chances of that person bucking you into a category that's like, oh yeah, easy. Let's go. And now you come, like, I love that symbiotic adjoining in a friendship or a mentorship. It feels way more.
Well, that's how you know you want to go with them usually. I know a relationship or a conversation is going to go somewhere meaningful if it's reciprocated. If it's reciprocal.
Sure.
That's how I know if it should go somewhere.
Sure.
If there's a level of depth that I take it, and then you try to match it, then we're mastering the art of self-disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
And once I start self-disclosing at a certain level, you start doing the same. You're reciprocating it, you're matching it, you're mirroring. You may even take it a little bit deeper, and then I take it a little bit deeper. And then we're self-disclosing, and we're actually going somewhere. Yeah. So what is useful and what is helpful? Because I have some concepts and thoughts around that idea, because I think a lot of us are doing things that aren't useful or helpful, but we think that they are.
Yeah.
And that's one of my biggest fears in life. Did you know this?
No.
One of my biggest fears in life is that I think that I have something, or that I'm going somewhere that I actually never go, and that I actually never really have. That's a huge, maybe not worry, or maybe not super fearful, but that would be something that am I really doing this thing? Am I really going there? Am I actually who I say that I am? Am I actually becoming who I want to become? Am I actually trying to build the thing that I say I'm going to build? Are my words matching my actions and lining up? Or am I just thinking that I'm going to end up in this place that I actually never end up? Or that I have these relationships that I thought I had that I never actually did?
Yeah.
Useful and helpfulness. What makes something useful from your point of view? Especially with what you've learned this past year. Or this year so far. 5 months in.
Yeah. I think probably the cleanest example, and I'm probably a little bit, my mind is a little bit tainted right now because of what we were researching earlier in like the advent or the inception of growth. Like if I can impose or incite growth out of something, I think that's useful. That's probably the most obvious form of usefulness. And then to the degree at which that thing grows is directly correlated with how useful you were or are. And I think what I hear you saying about usefulness and your worry is I don't want to get to the end and thinking that I was actually helping and I was actually hurting or distracting. Right. Like, dude, that's a really great way to say it. It's like, I don't want to be recommending people cold plunge if it's actually not going to be valuable to their life. You know, like, for instance, it could be a distraction. I was talking to my parents recently about this. It's like, well, when somebody, I use my parents as an example, when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I'm thinking about doing this in my life. I get this a lot. I get a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this training protocol, or I think I'm going to do this diet, or I'm going to start cold plunging. And it's easy to go and say, man, I guess I should tell them everything I know about that thing, or affirm them or encourage them to do something hard. That's fine. What they're actually inviting, because people lack the skills and good conversation, is like, I'm trying to make positive changes overall in my life right now because something happened to me recently that sparked me wanting to do a change. And so you should talk about that. And you should also talk about the landscapes of things that they should change and help them prioritize as a friend. Because like cold plunging could be it. It's probably not. It might be one thing out of many. A parade of things that you could introduce into your life to help be more effective and better and healthy and all those things. But the most useful thing is not to say, yeah, I'll help you cold plunge and give you the knowledge I have about cold plunging. It's like, the most helpful thing would be to go like, tell me why you went to cold plunging immediately. What is it about cold plunging that was attractive to you? It's like, well, I just want to do something hard. It's like, well, there's a lot of hard things you can do that are basic, that are probably more valuable and useful to the productive growth in your life than just adding this really hard thing on top. You could, but let's talk about all the other things. And I think where we be the most useful is helping people see the landscape of options and helping them distill down and prioritize and sequence things in their life, holding them accountable to smaller things and not just going to big things. Like, it would be tragic if we did the other side of the story. The other side of the story is I'm using the cold plunge example because it's an easy example. I helped my friend do cold plunging, but they're not sleeping more than 6 hours a night. What are we talking about? Dude, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Oh, you're drinking every single day. Bro, you don't need to add the stress of cold plunging on top of functional alcoholism. Bro, you don't need to do that. You need to think about other basic things first, and I'm going to help you do that and commit to doing that with you. And so I think usefulness is having an awareness of what is relevant to the person's growth journey and saying, actually, I would say that you probably need to focus on this. I don't think you need to, start a business. I think you need to get your home life right first. As an example, it's like, people find distractions and they're looking for validation and affirmation in those distractions. And the enemy is really good at distracting. That's his primary tactic. So you can make good things or okay things seem like great things to distract from the actual great things. And as friends and being useful, I think it's our job to help us distill down and help people know what's different.
Why do we settle then for Band-Aids instead of cures? Because that's kind of the another way to say kind of what you're talking about is sometimes we're thinking about like what we should add or take away from our life, and that's maybe a little bit more short-sighted.
Yeah.
Let's cover this up. Let's bring this out. Let's move this around. Why do we get a little, and I think that may be even where we begin. I think it's because we're probably a little short-sighted, or we get a little trend heavy, or we get a little urgent around things that are quick and right in front of us. And so would you agree that that's kind of what we end up doing?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what's the alternate? Because when you go from, hey, maybe that's it. Maybe it's cold plunging. Maybe it's fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But why? And I think when I hear you say, but why, it's really another way to say that is, but where are you headed?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go? What problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah.
And I know something that you love is you love solving the same problem over and over and over again.
Sure.
So, don't you want new problems to solve?
Yeah. 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 You asked a really good question. Why do you think people choose Band-Aids over, what'd you say? You said?
Band-Aids over, sometimes we're trying to do Band-Aids over a cure.
Yeah, sure. It's really good. In product, we talk about vitamins versus painkillers. We suggest things like creatine, but the 10,000 steps a day is probably better, but long term or whatever. And the only answer that comes to mind that seems reasonable is vitamins and Band-Aids are probably easier to market. Like it's more marketable. Like it's like we look at it like I can buy this supplement for $36 on a subscription to Amazon. It's like, oh, have I done it? And it's like it's an instant hit of dopamine to feel like I'm contributing a helpful mechanism into my life automatically. But like you're not doing like what is actually the hard thing, which is discipline and having structure in your life and having all the basics as top of mind as they should be. And so I don't know. It's probably simply put, it's probably ease. Like it's easier to pay for a vitamin. It's easier to buy a Band-Aid versus actually seek healing and alignment in your life. That's hard. It takes time. It takes sacrifice to say no to a bunch of other things and go, oh, this is probably the most important, effective time or thing in my life. That's why, like, I think about like vacations are happening a lot right now. Like there's a bunch of people on my team right now that are like that they're taking vacations. I think vacations are awesome. I'm about to go on one. I think they're brilliant. But I think there's this language like, dude, I need this vacation. Like I gotta get it. And I think that's a dangerous place to sit. Because you're not going to come back completely healed and refreshed. That's not what vacations are for. Succinctly, it's one of the things that may happen in partial, but it's not a complete healer. Like if all you're having to look forward to is a vacation once or twice a year to help get you in a place to where you can be productive and growing and helpful and useful to other people, provide value in life, like that's just a really tough place to live. Like there's a lot of other days outside of the 20 days a year that you take a vacation. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of other opportunity to make micro improvements everywhere else that would promote maybe not a dependency on this magical vacation. I said I'm preaching myself right now because I'm about to go on a vacation. And I think about it as like, well, dang, I'm putting a lot of pressure on a trip that is likely going to also have its own unique stress in a different way. To help heal me? No. Like there's probably other ways that I can prioritize my time and be more useful and be healed, to use your analogy. But I don't know. I think what's helpful to most people is having friends that say like, maybe, have you thought about? Maybe. But what got you there? And I think you're that for me, for sure. Is like I say things all the time where I'm like so convinced. And what I'm actually doing, and one of the most human things that we do, not unlike bringing up a diet, people bring up a training protocol or whatever, they're testing. They're testing to see like how much of a friend is Matthew going to be? Or can I actually say something and is he just going to say blindly like, yeah, man, you got it? Or he's like, I don't know. What got you there? Like, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for somebody to go, show me your math for a second. I'm not doubting you. I want to fully comprehend what brought you to this moment. And when that happens and I go, maybe, if I were you, I'd probably do this too, or have you thought about this? Those are real friends for sure.
Okay, so no one's doing that. But that's a lot of times because the person that's maybe testing hasn't put out, and obviously there's people doing this, but the person that's testing the concept and being really definite on where they stand, a lot of times they're not able to, like, quality feedback is given if it's received well, and a lot of times too. So like it's a both a quarterback and a receiver type connection that you've got to have to get to a point of like, oh, this is helpful, or we've scored here in this idea. Or that's why it's a conversation, and being helpful is also like, it's who it's with, and it's the motive, and it's where we're headed. And so like I really think, man, when I hear you talk about things, what's cool is you stand it from a position, but you invite like a barrage of differences to come at you. You're really inviting to, like, hey, but are you sure that this checks out? or like, here's a part of the problem that I'm thinking through in my math equation that I'm like, I could be wrong here though. And so you do a good job of like raising questions to your own math that invites the feedback on a regular basis. And then once you get people in the habit of inviting feedback because you're even questioning yourself, you're even asking, am I thinking well in this area? I'm unsure. And even just that little simple nudge invites the people that you love and that love you to say like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is a good spot for me to give this. And once you train people in that, they'll do it without you, the invitation.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kayla, right? She
doesn't
need the invitation.
No.
Because you've done a great job of building a life with her where that's actually a part of the value systems that you guys carry.
Yeah.
But you don't have to write the value on the wall like a lot of us have to or businesses have to. It's something that you've experienced together, and it's a part of the culture that you guys carry.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably. I was talking about this with another buddy recently about as we get older, like you just get a little bit slower. Like it's like you ever heard me talk about the mountain of idiot? Like I feel like I'm on the mountain of idiot in a lot of areas of my life, and then I'm farther along in other areas where you take a discipline or an idea or a theme or a topic or a skill, anything, and when you start out, you go, I know nothing, and you're aware of it, and then you learn just enough to feel empowered. But that's the mountain of idiot. You know, you think you know enough. Like you learn like a little bit, like 30% of it, and you're on this mountain of idiot. And then you just get over that cusp and you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much to know about this topic. And what you're actually you're doing is you have a learned reverence of that thing. And so you what naturally happens is, not saying I'm humble, but you naturally gain a humility in it because you're like, whoa, there's just a lot here. There's a lot here. And I go, I'm probably not batting 1,000, but here's what I would do because people depend on me, and this is what's probably the most right now. And I could be wrong, but I'm probably going to go this way. Why should I not go this way? One of the most powerful questions that you can ask somebody is like, here are my priorities. What would you change? Like if you're like trying to be a good employee or a good steward of time, we do what's called CQPs in my teams: celebrations, questions, and then priorities. And I said, if you come to any boss on the planet, and if you give them those three things, and it's important that you ask the question at the end, you say, what would you change? You're going to be just fine, because here's what happens: you get into a practice of learning your priorities, and then that person who's mentoring you will give you feedback on those priorities. And then as you go, you'll learn how to set better priorities over and over and over again, because that's all your life is just setting priority. That's all it is. And then asking, what would I change? And I think that's a helpful, maybe more tactical thing for the audience. I think the other thing too that we were talking about earlier that shows that a person is actually wrestling and growing is asking this question. And I'm asking you, what is the last thing you changed your mind on? What's the last thing that you found yourself thinking differently on? And if that person says, I don't really know, it's not necessarily bad. It's just probably a good indicator that you're maybe fixated in some areas. Like I'll give you an example in my life. Like I thought like culture is values on a wall, and there are things that we just talk about. And that's true. But really what culture is evidence of all of the fruit of what we believe those behaviors and those themes and those values will exhibit. And I used to think like, well, if I nail the language of values, it's just going to happen. It's like, no, like, dude, that's like step 0. It's enacting them and then expressing them and then being committed to them and then seeing the evidence of them when you're not around. That's culture. And so I'll ask you, what's the last thing you changed your mind in?
Oh my gosh. You know, if I think about that question, my first thought, so let me go through. My first thoughts are, there's so many variables to wanting to see something that doesn't exist come into your life that hasn't existed yet. Sure. There's so many variables. So I'm constantly learning and being okay with what I've learned every single day. And when someone asks me, what's the best thing that's happened this past week? And the worst thing that's happened. And something that unique that's happened. You know, the high-low buffalo type thing that people do, question-wise. You do it all the time. I do it all the time. We do it just kind of, it's fun. Especially building community and learning about people and that type of thing. So
shout out Keegan Velasquez.
Yeah, high-low buffalo, whatever. So something interesting that's happened or unique about you, a low, a high. I cannot go 24 hours without something immensely unique in all three of those categories because of the variables that are in my life and the things that I'm trying to solve for and the amount of growth that we're seeing happen so uniquely and quickly, but also the amount of, you know, the lows that come with the highs and the unique things so many unique things I can't. So you asked me, when was the last time I changed my mind? There is something that I was worried about that I have come to grips with that's more personal, that it would be unique to share. So 3 years ago, I started running, and I did the Forrest Gump thing, and I hadn't stopped.
Okay. Dog. Yeah, you did.
So I ran for over 1,000 days in a row, and then really ended up at 3 years in a row. Right at 3 years in a row this past month. And for the first time, I had something weird happen physiologically that I really didn't understand. Middle of the night. And I was like, whoa, I have no clue what just happened.
Sure.
And Erica, my wife, was like, hey, we should probably go get you checked out just to be safe so that we can all sleep well at night.
Yeah.
And we went to the doctor, and I got some tests ran and whatever. It was mostly okay. The doctor looks at me and said, you should probably not run for the next 3 days. And I had a decision right there to make, and I thought to myself, it'll be all right. And then,
this guy didn't know what he's talking about.
And then
this guy could kick rocks.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll run slow. I don't know. And then I thought, well,
what do you think? What do you find is running?
Well, back to the priority thing. What are my priorities? And am I running why am I running? Is it performance? Yes, it's performance-based. Yes, it's discipline-based. Yes, it's consistency-based. Yes, it's health. Yes, I'm doing a lot of things while I run at the same time. So I'm adding a lot to the running. But is running the most important thing? No. Is running the second most important thing? No. Is it the third? No. I can go down the list, and it's really not in the top 5. Okay, well, so great. So where is it, and why is it there?
Yeah.
Now that we've done this thing. And why would I not just listen to the person that's trying to help me's advice?
Right.
And the thing that I really kind of wrestled with was, if I stop now, will I ever run again? Because a lot of times, when you stop something, you don't ever revisit it.
Right.
And so I wrestled with that, and I had to change my mindset on that. No, I will run. And it's been good. I took that week, and then my first run was when you texted me and called me, and then I was actually on like a light run that night with the family, jog, run, whatever, walk, and I got to run with you that next day, and it felt great to run with you that next day. Everything was good. And so it was just this really cool, like, okay, and then I ran the next day, and then I didn't run the day after. And so it's not I don't necessarily need the streak to gain the performance. We can step into a new phase of life because of what needs to happen in this next phase of life is going to take a little bit of different mindset to see come into life, which we talked about. And so that's
great. It's great.
Maybe that is answering the question.
It is.
But it's that's a longer
Big time
thing that has been important to me. It still is, but it's a different. I'm coming into a different focus right now that I think is really important for me.
It's great.
So,
love that. Has that been hard?
What has what been hard?
That, all of it.
Well, yeah. I think you said a little bit ago. You're like, oh man. So I just want to do something hard. So I'm gonna. And that was the concept of cold plunge, and I was like, oh man, cold plunging is not that bad.
Depends on the person, for sure.
It depends. It depends on where you're at, what you're doing, what you're used to, and like there's levels to what hard is, and what difficulty is. And I had a conversation. Oh, I love this. I had a conversation with someone this week with on the idea of difficulty, and I just love the concept of choosing difficult things before they choose you.
Sure.
Because a part of the human experience is difficulty.
Yeah.
Now, you can either choose comfort for a long period of time, and then when difficulty comes, you don't know how to handle it. Or you can choose difficult things, go through them, levels of difficulty based off of where you are. Great. That doesn't necessarily matter. Stop comparing. Don't be so comparative to what other people's difficult versus what your difficult is. Choose your difficult so that when difficult chooses you, because that's what life, the human experience has a lot of difficulty in it, you will not react in a way that is detrimental to the future that you want.
Yeah, that's good.
You will actually be able to put some principles in around you that help you perform. Maybe not perfectly. That's not also a part of the human experience because no one is that. But practically and with a performance that is way better than if you choose comfort all the time. And so that's really changed. That's really changed my life and being able to like value choosing difficult things. So.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. It's hard though.
Yes.
Because it was a discipline. And you technically met a goal and then you met it again. You did it for two years and then some.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to let it go is tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's cool is I learned a lot about it within that like 3-year window, because it's, running every day for 3 years, no matter the weather. I found out that I love weather.
Like adverse weather conditions.
Yeah. I love weather.
Yeah, dude.
I love what it does. I can feel it. It's so strange. I can feel it do something to my mind in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Because you get to have a choice between, it's not cold out here.
Yeah.
Or it's not hot.
Especially in
Was
Colorado,
it hot?
dog.
Was it cold? I don't know. Was that a cold rain or was it cold? Was it a cold? Was that snow? I don't know. It was pretty.
That's great.
I don't know. That's a strange thing that happened. Yeah, Colorado weather.
Yeah, dude.
No matter
Nutty.
what, running. That was really good for
I
my
bet.
mind. So
That's great.
yeah. What is it? What do Colorado people say? They say if they're outdoorsy, they say something like, "There's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear."
Yeah, that's true.
Did you tell me that? I think you may have told me
I
that.
might have told you
You
that,
may have
yeah.
told me that the first time, and I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
Just wear more clothing. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it's really good. But with the variables and with hard things and with growth, I think that's a good question. And that's a good statement of usefulness and helpfulness. Is it helping you get somewhere, grow somewhere, go somewhere? Is it positively affecting your life? Because usually positive things promote growth and development. And
Good things grow. Growing
Yes.
things change.
Yeah, well, so like nature, right? We have all these plants here. It's like this guy is gonna grow. Well, it's because it's healthy,
Yeah.
and if it has the things that it needs to grow to take the next to take that next stage or step.
Right.
Well, if we take the natural and we put it, because we live in the natural, if we do that, like, well, so the concepts are very applicable, because that does, in simplicity, help us understand, is it useful? Is it helpful?
Yeah.
I know this conversation is useful and helpful if it actually positively encourages me and challenges me.
Yeah.
If it positively affects and encourages and challenges you. This may not be helpful for anyone else, but if it is for me, guess what? It was a conversation that it's worth having.
Sure.
And but that's a culture that we've created. And as I think about even just that word culture, there's so many nuances to that word. And I've heard culture eats strategy for breakfast. Well, why? And then I've heard people talk about culture all the time, and I'm like, gosh, it's such a hard thing to focus on, because it kind of makes me frustrated. Because yes,
Why?
I'm focusing on culture, but then that is this, from this angle to this angle to that angle to this problem to that problem to this problem. And I'm like, okay, great, let's focus on culture, but I got to do this, or I've got to get someone to do that. And so help me not be frustrated with that word. And not that I'm mad at it, but that people talk about it so much, and I'm like,
I think there's some linguistic relativity that's happening with that word,
okay,
where we've diluted it
okay,
and polluted it to where it's frustrating. It's a throwaway word. But we were just for the audience, we were just looking this up, and I'm having a very formative moment about that word live right now.
I'm glad I brought it up.
Because you see, like, oh, it's bad. Oh, it has bad culture, or you'll hear people talk about, like, people are good for culture or bad for culture, or that's not our culture, and it's a corrective mechanism. And I love all of that and can appreciate all of that. But when we looked up the etymology of the word, it makes a ton of sense. And I think the analogy in the metaphor extends to something really powerful. Culture is the environment that grows things. And those things can be good things or they can be bad things. And I think about, like, the kinds of soil around the earth, and like the kinds of plants that grow in certain soil and the kinds of plants that won't, and the kinds of fruit and vegetables, the kinds of animals that will go and be around that. Like, if you see the product of the soil in the environment and the weather conditions and everything, and you see, like, all of these things that are bad, like, yeah, like, you'd want to fix the soil. You'd want to just, like, take it out and replace it or fertilize it or do something to promote the growth that is necessary for the strategy. But here's where I would say, like culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yeah, for sure, I would agree, because strategies change, tactics change. Like, you have to have people to do the things that we do. And if you want the people to flourish, and we want to see the flourishing of people, flourishing means growth. It means healthy growth. And I think us deciding as leaders, like, what we want our soil to look like, so that when somebody comes, we get a bunch of things all at once. We get to see, like, the systematic fruit that has happened because we have evidence of it happening previously. We also get to see, like, where it's incompatible, like, which is really hard. It's like, if you're trying to grow, like, man, I wish I knew more about plants in this moment, and right after this, I'm going to go and research way more plants. But, like, if you try to grow palm trees in the middle of the Rockies, you're going to have a bad time. You're just going to have a bad time. It doesn't mean that palm trees are bad. It's just not the kind of plant that is conducive to the soil that we live in. And the things that grow here are a little bit different than what grows near the ocean. And I think us defining and saying, like, hey, here's the flavor and the culture that we have here, and here's how to effectively grow the right things in the most things that God's called us to grow here in this moment, here's what that looks like. And in defining it for other people. Because then you go, like, when there's a person who comes and they're like, we should do this strategy, we should grow this thing, we should grow this fruit. And you're like, dude, that's not going to work. And it's going to be incompatible with the culture. So I don't know. I think going back to like the word culture, the etymology is what we researched earlier. It's the environment that things grow in. And that represents itself as beliefs and values and mission statements and tools and symbols and all of that. That's all true. But when I think about like gardeners, farmers, like managing soil is a huge part of the gig to promote the growth. And then out of that growth, why I would go back to strategy, somebody being a part of a good culture and then having a team that is like on point culture-wise is going to come up with a way better strategy collectively than one single person at the top.
Why are they on point culture-wise?
What do you mean?
Okay, so that team, why are they on point culture-wise? Go ahead.
They are orienting themselves in a way that promotes the growth that we're seeking. In whatever growth that is. Because it's all about fruit. Like literally all about fruit. And so how would we get fruit? Well, we get fruit by way of growth. And good positive growth. Not weeds. And I know they're on point. And I can look at somebody and say, you are great for culture, and you're aligned with our culture, and that culture is beneficial and it's good for you if there's fruit.
And you can always give a reason why. Why?
Maybe.
It seems like you can, because you can point out, here's why I know you're good for culture. There's a lot of attributes that you're having that you probably have, maybe even that I don't see. You have a lot of disciplines, maybe even that I don't see.
Yeah.
But what I see is this is who you are.
Yeah.
It has produced.
Sure.
And you need to be aware of that.
Sure.
Which you always, I think, have. If they're good for culture, you always have seen the fruit that they have produced. If you know that they're good for culture. I don't think you can know that they're good for culture until you have seen what they actually produce.
Yeah. If I understand what you're asking, you're trying to figure out like the leading measures for like the lag measure of fruit, right? Like what was causative for that?
Yeah. Well, so like here's where my brain's now thinking.
Because you're fired up about culture.
Yeah.
Maybe even like annoyed with it.
No, I am annoyed with it. For sure. But that's because it's all I think about.
Okay.
And I don't want to think about it all the time. But I do want to think about it all the time because I care about so much about it. It drives me crazy, actually. I'd say it keeps me up at night. So let me get to the thought. But okay. And then you go to your if. Because whenever he starts ifing, it gets weird fast in a good way. Okay, so
I don't want that to be
humans are human. Yeah, it's fine. I can elaborate if you'd like. You want me to pontificate on that one? I can. But humans are humans everywhere.
Yeah.
And plants need similar things everywhere. But how they've adapted to the environment that they're in has led them to produce the fruit that they produce. There's a human that cannot thrive in Denver, that thrives in Morocco.
Yeah.
And there's attributes and things that they have and that they know and that they live and that they...
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is like humans are humans everywhere.
Sure.
And it's the ability to learn and adapt and to understand what the goal is.
Yeah.
That helps you produce the right kind of fruit. That helps you produce fruit. Because there's actually I don't know if there's a right kind of fruit in some... maybe there is, because it's about like production, and maybe the metaphor breaks down
Sure.
in that way. Because if you produce this, that may not be healthy, and whatever, depending on the goals and it's where you're headed, right? So that's what I'm actually thinking about. Is when do you know you have the culture that you need? And how can you, I think I'm maybe even answering my own question right now. It's really being really helpful for me. This conversation is. Because I constantly think about culture, the new definition that's now ringing in my mind is the environment in which what you want to grow grows.
It's great.
So now the question is the environment what it needs to be? Because that's what I can set, and that's how I can lead.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you have what you need to grow is a good question.
Yeah.
You can if it if you'd like, or add to that. I think about how little humans are how terrible of a job in general humans do with being clear about what they're seeing, what they want, where they want to go, and what they have. I had a conversation Wednesday with someone that's very meaningful to the team here for us. And when I was talking, we were talking on the phone, and when I was talking with them, I just kept asking, well, why do you think that those two people are valuable? And they were able to say they're valuable because of this, 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 this. And then I said, have you ever told them that? And they said no.
Yeah.
And I said, that's probably your next conversation.
Sure.
That's most important to have. Is to tell them why.
Yeah. That's a good word. So is what's frustrating, like, because I want to be careful too. I think it's less. What I brought up earlier is, I think, what bothers people about culture, and I've said it. I've been victim to this. As I've looked at a person, I've said, "Man, they're great for culture." I said it today. In the live, like what God is changing my mind on right now is going, culture is the environment that you are contributing to promote growth, right? But you are not culture. I am not culture. We contribute to it, and we help facilitate it, and we help nurture it. But we are not culture, and it's really important, I think, that we like separate the responsibility and the grandiose nature of our ability to like manufacture culture succinctly. I think like when I think about like even the growing process in the garden, like gardens they're messy. Like they're just messy and dirty, and they go through seasons of cleanliness, and then there's rain and mud everywhere. It's like it's just dirty. It's a dirty place, and there's beautiful things that grow out of it. I think what's probably easier is not actually looking at a person and saying you're really good for culture. Is probably saying, I guess, two things. One, you can tell when a person is harming culture. You can tell if a person is preventative to growth. You can see that. That's probably easier to see.
What's the opposite of contributing? Because that's what you're really saying. You're saying, hey, you're contributing to this culture so well. Here's how and why, just to make you aware.
Right, like
or
you uniquely
yep.
give to this culture.
And here's how you're distracting, you're taking away from the culture.
Right.
Or not adding, just subtracting. Here's how you're taking away from the culture that we think is going to be the best environment for us to produce what we're all trying to produce.
Like, like let's go as basic as we can. If it's just fruits of spirit, and there's other fruits too. There's
Sure.
fruits in prayer. There's fruits in like redemption and healing.
Yeah, but
fruits
people
of
want
fruit-
love, joy, peace,
peace,
patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We
Yeah,
all,
great.
I would say everyone would be like, hey,
Yeah, I'll take more.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
P-
Yeah. I'll take more of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can I
dog.
raise my hand? Where do I sign up for that one?
Right.
How much does that one cost? Is that one like is that one like a
Is that an
vitamin?
add-on?
Is that a is that a monthly from Amazon? Is that $39.99?
Yeah, dude. I'm with that
from
for sure.
slaughterhouse.com.
And you could look and go, oh man, like I can tell that the way that you showed up here made people feel a lack of peace, or it caused a disturbance in peace, or hey, like because of your season, it's causing other people's faithfulness to maybe deter a little bit because we're giving permission as leaders in a certain way. And that's super tough to say. This is live right now in moments, and going, how do you communicate that the things that you do, you have a responsibility to other people because it affects their walk and their growth. And you're giving permission, you're giving an example, especially for younger believers and younger people in the organizations that you serve in. It's a lot. And it's okay to say. I think it's easy to make culture a rubric, and I've been there because I love rubrics. I love going, okay, let's look at rubric 5C. You showed up. Let's give you a 3 out of 5, and let's work on it next week. We good? In value number 5. Like that feels right. And you could get to that point, and that feels way too mechanical.
Yeah, this is why we're such good friends, is because I don't like any of what you just said.
Right.
Rubrics, can we burn them all?
Dude, yeah, I feel you. And people like clarity.
I know. I'm trying my best to do both. That's why it's such a good time. It's so good for you and I to be best friends, because we're able to see from the same coin from two different sides and describe it and better analyze it and understand it.
Yeah.
Because I totally understand what you're saying. And I value what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to get to or even live in.
Best culture, though, you wouldn't really have to, and you don't have to as much. Here's what I notice. I notice that if a person walks into the culture and they see the fruit that people celebrate, and they see what we're striving for, and they see in themselves moments that are deterring or even distracting from those things, they can go, oh man, I really need to work on that. I can only give examples for myself because I think about myself all the time. I do. I obsess over what this means for me and my image and how I show up to people and what people think about me. I do not like it about myself. But in my most healthy seasons, I just don't. And that's when I'm being the most useful. And what's been helpful is going, maybe it's not, hey, I need you to live by this rubric that promotes this growth, because we systematically have found out scientifically when you are this loving, you produce this much love of fruit in other people. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying there's probably a really great form of culture where people start to strive for that in themselves, and they take agency over their own. They take responsibility over themselves. They take personal faculty, and they say, I'm going to commit to wanting fruit and growth. I'm going to develop it in my own succinct way. We don't want everybody to look the same. That's what I hear you saying, is like, we don't want everybody to become like this average that just produces, like, no, like we should celebrate the fact that everybody is so violently different. And we're all trying to develop this culture that people can use as a North Star. So I know, okay, I see why we do this, because there's a direct correlation in flourishing as a lag measure with other people. And I don't know. I think that it's probably something that needs both definition and discernment in. It's like you can define it, and you can go, you know what, like, this just feels off right now, and so we're going to talk about this, and I want everybody to focus on being more peace-filled, or I want everybody to be focusing on being gentle. I was talking about that with somebody recently. It's like we celebrate non-gentleness. If you're scrolling through Instagram and I see a post that's like abrasive, inflammatory,
Yeah, you like it.
aggressive,
Yeah,
way
you
more.
watch the whole thing and you're like, ooh.
Ooh,
Sometimes even when I
Ooh.
disagree, I'm like, ooh, it's just,
ooh, I want to do that.
yeah, it's provocative.
It
Gets
is.
the people going.
It gets the people going.
I'm like,
Yeah, dog.
I'm like, gosh, I don't know, man. Here's something I think it's really important. That's maybe a switch that's been flipped even in this conversation for me. Is it's an attention to manage. Yeah. And we can never solve for it perfectly. And kind of the point is actually to say, are we creating an environment where people can grow, where people can become, where we can produce the things that we want to produce and need to produce, and we're made to produce? And and if those healthy things grow, then you are having a culture that's good for that environment.
Yeah.
And you're doing a good job. And it's like, oh, wow, if these things are growing, and they're healthy, well, maybe it's not the healthiest right now, but we're still growing. It's okay. Well, what can we slightly adjust? And what can we calmly adjust? And can we just see it for what it is right now? And this isn't that great. I haven't loved the past few weeks. Okay, well, why? Let's make an adjustment. Yeah. Oh, we didn't plan for summer with kids being at home? Okay, that's okay. It kind of hit us. Who knew summer was coming? I didn't. I mean, is it the same time every year? Maybe not.
Dude, literally, I thought the kids had school the next day. They got home at noon on Wednesday, and I was like, are you excited for school tomorrow? They're like, Dad, we don't have school tomorrow. We're done. They're like, oh, yeah. I was just making sure you knew.
Yeah.
I knew. I did not know at all.
What should we do now that you're out of school? So as we kind of wrap up even just this conversation, it's a really meaningful conversation for both of us. It's something that I'm going to carry into this season of life that I'm in. Is I like the question of, what do the people that are in my life that I'm building community with, what do they need and I need? What do we need to grow right now? How do we need to adjust the environment? And that's a cool question to keep in asking. Like how does this help us, or how does this hurt us? What do we need to slightly adjust, or what do we need to celebrate that we've been doing and add more to, and be like, hey, this is what's happened because of our commitment to it. This is what happened. So, yeah, man, I'm really encouraged by that and challenged by it as well. So
It's great.
It's a big deal. What about you? What are you thinking as we kind of wrap up? How's this good for you?
It's nice to not feel like this is probably one of the first episodes we've had where we didn't really have like what feels like a solid take, and I'm holding all my hot takes loosely. It's cool to wrestle live, is what I'm trying to say. Is let's just look. I almost want to have a version of this where we have our laptops open and we're just researching as we're going and seeing things that we like, things that maybe we don't like, and talking about it. And the topics we talked about today, outside of mentorship, friendship, communication, were things we're wrestling with live. Culture's an annoying word. It's a throwaway word. How do we make less throwaway words and we actually know our own definitions and be able to actively define them versus saying that we just know? I don't think I've known. I say it all the time. And thinking through culture live was really fun.
Oh, it was a blast. Let's do that next time.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's get our laptops out, iPads out, and let's research and have the conversation where we really tackle something, even so that we can get we can have the information in front of us a little bit easier accessible.
It's great.
Sounds like a blast. Love having these conversations with you.
Likewise, bro.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us today. This is the type of thing that we want to encourage you with. So Matthew Slaughter, really the co-host of the Full Vantage podcast. I love this guy, and I hope you guys learn from him. I forget all of your handles, though. If someone wants to follow you or connect with you or see what you're
It's
up
all
to.
Matt Science.
That's what it is. Gosh,
Yeah.
I know Matt Science. At Matt Science, right? If you're interested in a job,
I am hiring.
he is hiring.
I am hiring.
He's hiring.
If you like product design.
He loves pixels.
And
What was the thing? What was the pithy thing you said
like
about
pixels with purpose.
Pixels with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
GLOO.
Glue.
That's the company.
Glue.com.
So you have how many job openings? 2?
2.
Perfect. There it is. If you're looking to have the pixels with purpose, there's 2 job openings for you right there. At Matt Science, Glue, GLOO. See you guys later. Thanks for joining in. Peace.